I'm going to be going over how to gracefully quit your jobs and 5 specific tactics you can use in handing in your resignation to make sure you keep your options open and open yourself to new opportunities. I quit. Flip over a table or something. Isn't that what everybody wants to do, is just go crazy when they quit their job? Like, this sucks. Screw you guys. Many of you, or many of us, or whatever, will have to, go back and work a job. You want to leave your options open. If you don't want to burn all your bridges, it's not a good way to go through life. And in this video, I'm going to be going over how to gracefully quit a job. I know I quit my job. I had no intention of ever going back, but I did it in a graceful manner personally. And what ended up happening, my boss just literally gave me my pay for, I said I'm going to quit, but he gave me my pay for the next 6 months without having to do anything. He just said, answer a few emails from this one person. But I'm going to go over a few ways of how I was able to create such a crazy arrangement for myself quitting my job, but also a few ways how you can gracefully quit your job. So the first suggestion I have to gracefully quit your job is give 1 month's notice. And this is what I did. If you're being respectful, if you're truly trying to be respectful of any employer, keep in mind that their business, it takes time to hire people. It takes much longer than 2 weeks to hire a suitable replacement for whatever position it is you do. The higher up of a position you are in, the longer it takes to hire somebody. I know I've employed plenty of people. I've employed dozens and dozens of people. I've also fired a lot of people. In my career as an entrepreneur, it can take months to hire a good person. So give 1 month's notice. I mean, what you can do to truly be respectful is tell the employer, hey, I'm giving my 1 month's notice, but if you need a little bit longer, let me know. I want to make sure that you have enough time to find a replacement for me. That's a graceful thing. Second way to quit your job gracefully is be brief. Don't drag on it anything long-winded. No stories, okay? No stories. Don't go on about stories of what they can improve or what you can improve or how good of a job they did or how good of a job you think you did or what coworker was stealing from them or whatever. No. They don't need to know much. Be brief, okay? Just say, hey, I'd just like to let you know I'm handing in, I'm giving you my 1 month's notice. It was nice working here. Don't go into other things. Just say, I'm handing in my 1 month's notice. You don't need to go into other topics of conversation, okay? This goes into the third point, which is be discreet. Really important. Be discreet. Again, if you are going to a competitor company, they don't need to know that. If you are going to work for another company, they don't need to know that. If you are going to work on your own, they don't need to know that. If you married somebody and they're making the money for you, if you just inherited money from your grandparents, whatever the situation is, they don't need to know that. Be discreet. Your situation is your own. Of course, any employer is going to be dying to know why are you quitting, especially if you're a good employee, especially if you're a high-performing employee. But I'm going to go over in just a few points here, I'm going to go over how this third point actually can work to your advantage the most. And I'll go into that in just a little bit. I'll use a story from my own experience. Fourth point is be positive. If you don't give your boss a reason to hate your guts, especially if you are a good employee, it'll drive them crazy. And I did this with my boss, the last job I worked. Again, I was brief and discreet, but I was positive. I said, oh, thank you so much for the opportunity to work here. I enjoyed the job. I'm giving my month's notice. Thank you for the opportunity. I learned a lot, but I'm moving on. Because in everybody's mind, they're thinking, why the heck is this person leaving? Why are they thanking me? Why aren't they flipping tables? If you don't give them a reason to hate you, it flips their mind. It flips their minds. If you really want to drive your boss crazy, don't yell at them and be like, you're an a-hole and you treat people like cattle, and like you underpay people, you have zero respect, you have power problems, there's a reason your wife divorced you. Don't go into any of that stuff. Just be positive. It'll drive them more crazy, especially if you're a good employee. And if you weren't a good employee, I don't know what to say, man. You have one life. Give it your effort. Now, the fifth tip is to have a plan. Obviously, all that should have been number one, but I think it's just obvious if you're quitting your job, have a transition plan. Maybe you're going to a competitive company. Maybe one of the company's clients is hiring you direct. Maybe you're starting your own company. Whatever that is, you should have a plan to make money when you're going off on your own. Now, whatever company you're going to work for, make sure you have a multi-month contract. If you're working on your own, make sure you're getting paid at least 1.5 times what you were being paid at the monthly salary at your old company, just to give yourself that buffer zone, because entrepreneurship is hard. Or if you don't, the other caveat to this is know your number. Either have a plan and or know your number, because there's a very good chance if you do these 4 things, your boss will be driven crazy and you'll be given an offer to work for them at a higher price point. They'll say, what do you want to stay here? I'll give you a raise. I'll give you more money. I'll give you a bonus structure. I'll give you equity. What do you need to stay here? And so know your number. If that number is a higher salary, let's say you're making $4,000 a month, and maybe if you're making $6,000, you would do better, okay? Or maybe it's having a vestment schedule. If you're living in some high-tech area like me, you want some equity in the company, right? Maybe you move to a different position. Whatever that is, know what things that your boss could throw at you, where you'd have to be. But also keep in mind, if you are telling your boss you're gonna quit once, you need a much higher salary number, because they may just say something to get you to stick around and then fire your butt very quickly because you're an unloyal soldier. Generally, I would tell you, don't threaten to resign and then just go back and work at the company, because once you've shown that you're not loyal to the company, that's not a good sign. Now, what happened in my case, my last job was in 2012. I worked at an ad agency and I hated it. I did all of these things, and what ended up happening was I had set a goal for myself. I was taking on some clients on a freelance basis, and I got roughly, what I told myself I'd do is I was making $6,000 a month at my job. To quit my job, I knew I had to be making about $10,000 a month on a recurring basis, right? Because some clients, I was managing Google AdWords accounts. I was managing other people's Google ads. And I knew some clients would drop, they dropped off every month, and some clients, I got new clients some months if I was out there talking to people. But overall, I knew I needed that $10,000 a month. Now, what happened was, I won't go into the full story, but I realized I wanted to get one client at $10,000 a month. And I changed around a lot of things in my life. I had to start hanging out new places. I got one client at $10,000 a month, and then I handed in my resignation to my job. I had additional clients that were paying me $500 a month that added up to about $3,000. So I was making $13,000 a month outside of my job, and I was just like, okay, sweet. I landed this big deal. I told my boss, I said, hey, I won't use his real name. Hey, B, I'm, giving my month's notice. I was discreet, and he was worried. He was worried. I had no intention of working for him. I hated him. I hated his guts. He was an total a-hole. Totally turned me off the job experience. But I did all of these things. Brief, positive, discreet. He had no idea what I was doing. He thought I was stealing his biggest clients, okay? In his mind, I believe what he was thinking is he thought that I was either trying to negotiate for a raise or I was trying to steal his biggest clients. And what ended up happening was, first thing he said is, what do you want? He said, what do you want? And I said, oh, I'm just giving you my 1 month's notice. He said, I know. What do you want? Which is kind of crazy, okay? Because I had gone to him 2 months prior asking for a raise. And what he had told me was in that meeting, and I justified my raise. Just to let you know, I'd added personally an extra $100,000 per month in profit to this ad agency, into my boss's pocket. So he was making a lot of money, extra from my work. And his answer to when I asked for a raise was, or what? Or else what? That was what he said. Or else what? And I said, or else I don't know. Because I was interested in moving up in the company. But he's just said, or else. What are you going to do? So when I told him I was quitting, I knew I was quitting. I wasn't going to let him jerk me along. I didn't want to work for this guy. He asked me all the questions. He said, are you moving to another company? He said, are you working for another agency? And I just said, I was very discreet. So that's my own business. But I'm handing in my month's notice. Then he started going on the attack. He said, I have legal agreements with you, John. If you're trying to work for one of these other companies, that would be a big problem, right? And I said, yes, I understand that. He's like, you understand there's non-disclosures? And I said, yes, I understand that. He had no idea what was going on. He said, are you going to work for yourself? Are you starting your own thing? And I said, that's none of your business. I said, that's my own business, something like that. I was very polite. I was discreet. And I was brief. It drove him mind crazy. What he did was he came back to me and he said, I'll pay you your salary, $6,000 a month. The client, one of our clients really likes you a lot. And this was the biggest client. He said, I just ask you communicate on emails with them. Maximum amount of time will be 4 hours per week that you'll need to communicate on emails. That's it. And I'll pay you $6,000 a month. And for me, that was awesome. Because for me, I was thinking, okay, I'm making about $13,000 a month now or whatever it was. I'm quitting my job, but I was going to make the extra $6,000 a month from my job anyways for the next 6 months. So what ended up happening was I took, not only was I making all this money on the side, but I didn't even lose the income from the job because I quit my job so gracefully. I put my boss, I freaked out his mind, and I was able to earn, and the story goes on, I ended up getting a second client. I'd been pitching 3 clients at $10,000 a month retainers. So I got a second client at $10,000 a month. So I ended up going from making roughly $6,000 a month to $30,000 a month my first month working for myself. And I was 23 years old. It was the scariest decision I'd ever made in my life. But I did it the right way. I left my opportunities open. And I ended up making that money from my job anyway. It was crazy. So that started me off on my entrepreneurial career. In that time span, I ended up making a lot of money, and I had very little costs of living. Very little. I was living in like a 1-bedroom apartment. I was eating ramen noodles. I'd been saving up money like crazy because I was so worried about quitting my job. And I ended up going from, my living expenses were like $2,000 a month, and I was making $30,000 a month. So that got me started in my career as an entrepreneur. It also gave me a little nest egg to go from, and it's gotten me to where I am today, where I'm doing this business model called affiliate marketing, and I'm making over $500,000 per month. So I implore you, quit your job gracefully. You don't be mean to people. It never pays off. If you want to learn more about my business, I do have a link in the description. I have a free training. You can check it out. If you like this video, I encourage you to like it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more information about, just quitting your job or remote work or, working for yourself. And also in the comments, let me know what was the most impactful bullet point here? Was it, 1 month's notice, brief, positive, discreet, or having that plan? So let me know what's the most impactful in the comments. Speak to you soon. You rock. You can do this. Looking forward to you quitting your job. It's worth it.